There are so many myths floating around wildlife photography, especially when you're just starting out. Some sound logical, but they can really hold you back. Hi, I'm Mario Killian, and today I'm going to debunk 7 common myths that beginner wildlife photographers often believe. Let's clear the air and help you move forward. This is one of the biggest myths I see, that real wildlife photography only happens in Africa, Alaska, or on the Amazon rainforest. Yes, of course, in Africa you will find elephants, in Alaska maybe polar bears. That's amazing, no doubt. But there is a thing, you don't need to go that far to create powerful images. Wildlife is everywhere. You just need to slow down and look. Right here in my small village, I have photographed birds, foxes, deers, frogs, even insects. And let's be honest, how many times have you seen a pigeon in the city stealing someone's French fries? That's wild behavior too. And with the right technique, even a beetle crawling near your food can become a stunning macro shot.
Caught behind Venetian blinds, out of reach for the city lights. This ain't where I belong. Hey, look at me, man, what I've become. I've been running east, looking for a sunset, digging deep since 99.
So, don't wait for the perfect location. Start where you are. The wild is closer than you think. Yes, golden hour light is magical. I'm not going to lie. Some of my favorite moments have happened just before sunrise. The mist, the silence, the first calls of the birds is pure magic. But here is a trap. Believing if you didn't wake up at 5 a.m., then you missed your chance, that's simply not true. Wildlife behaves in different ways depending on the species, the weather, and even the season. I have taken some of my best photos at noon, with hard light, or in overcast conditions. Sometimes birds are most active mid-morning, or the way the sun hits the forest floor at 2 p.m. create a beautiful contrast. So yes, get up early when you can, but don't be a slave to the clock. Amazing things can happen at any time of the day, especially when you least expect them. Yes, hiding and staying quiet helps, but you don't need to vanish like a military sniper to photograph wildlife. In fact, people keep joking about my famous white jacket in my recent videos. And they are right, it's definitely not the best choice if you're trying to blend in. But guess what? I've still got great shots. Perfect camouflage isn't required. What really matters is patience, silence, and moving slowly. Wear darker or earth toned clothes, and that's usually enough. And yes, you can find full camo suits on Amazon for cheap. But if you show up fully disguised in a public park, you might get a few laughs. And maybe some wear looks too. You don't have to disappear. You just have to become part of the environment. You don't need to shoot in full manual to be a real photographer. That's another myth that just creates pressure, especially when you're starting out. I will be honest, I use aperture priority 90% of the time. It gives me full control over depth of field, which is critical for wildlife. And when I need to freeze motion, like a bird in flight, I switch to shutter priority. Even full auto mode has its moments. Yes, you heard that right. Sometimes the camera does a great job, especially in changing conditions. The key for me is making sure I control the focus point. If auto mode doesn't let me choose exactly where to focus, I just move to a smaller focus area. Problem solved. Don't get stuck thinking that manual mode is the only serious way. What really matters is getting the shot.
There's a message drifting in the air. If you listen, you will notice music everywhere. This bridge is made of hope. This bridge is made of hope.
Let me say it clearly, APS-C cameras are fantastic for wildlife photography. I shoot wildlife with an APS-C camera, my Nikon Z52, and I have captured amazing results with it. Now, sure, full-frame cameras do have some really advantages. They generally offer better dynamic range, perform better in low light, less noise, and allow you to get super wide, which is great for landscapes or real estate photography. No denying that. But when it comes to wildlife, APS-C gives you a major advantage, the reach. A 400mm lens suddenly becomes a 600mm due to the crop factor of the sensor. That's a big deal when your subject is small, far or fast. APS-C cameras are also lighter, more affordable, and modern sensors have gone a long way. Noise performance is better than ever. For example, the next Canon R7 Mark II. Whoa, what a camera it will be. So yes, full frame is awesome, but don't fall for the hype. Use what fits your style, your budget and your back. Sometimes less is more.
Feeling the taste of our fight last night. Breaking up, making a mess of an all good life. And now that you're gone,
This one hits close to home, because I have deleted so many photos early on, thinking they were useless. A wing out of focus, too much noise, a distracting background, and delayed. But even those imperfect photos teach us something about timing, about behavior, about light. They are stepping stones in your journey. And let me ask you something, what is perfection anyway? Is it objective or is it just a matter of taste? Because what one person sees as a mistake, another might see as mood, story, or even art. Sometimes when I look back on an image that I almost deleted, I suddenly see emotion, a gesture, a memory, a unique imperfection that gives it soul. So don't chase perfection, chase connection. That's what makes a photo unforgettable.
I would do anything just to get you back again. I would do anything at all. I know I'm not innocent, and you deserve a better man. But let me just hold your hand once more.
I heard this all the time. But I'm not good enough yet to post my photos. Or what if people criticize me? Listen, we all start somewhere. And if you wait until you're good enough, you might never start. Before wildlife, I worked in product photography for marketing, where every shot had to be flawless. Perfect lighting, perfect angles, perfect retouching. So when I moved into wildlife photography, I was terrified to share my photos. What if people thought they were ugly, too noisy, not sharp enough? It held me back for a long time. This was one of the first I ever shared. Perfect? No. Honest? Yes. Sharing your work, even if it's not perfect, it's how you grow. It builds confidence, connects you with others, and shows you evolution. So don't hide your passion. Be proud of where you are. This journey is yours, and it's worth sharing. You know, while I was recording this video, another myth suddenly came to mind, and I really have to talk about it. It's the idea that you must have a massive, expensive lens to do wildlife photography. Let me break it right now. You don't need a 600mm monster that costs as much as a car. I actually made a whole video using a 300mm lens that cost just over 100 euros. Was it limiting? Sure, but it still managed to capture meaningful moments, tell stories and enjoy the process. What's more important than gear is your patience, your curiosity and your willingness to just get out there. Even a modest lens can be powerful in the right hands. So please, don't let your gear stop you. Start with what you have and grow from there. So, those are the 7 myths that might be holding you back. Let them go and start enjoying the journey. I believe it most of these too, and once I let them go, my photography and my joy started to grow. Which of these myths did you believe when you started out? Let me know in the comments. I love reading your stories. And if you're looking for real-world advice for someone who's out there shooting as often as life allows, consider subscribing. There is always more to explore together. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Caught behind Venetian blinds, out of reach for the city lights. This ain't where I belong. Hey, look at me, man, what I've become. I've been running east, looking for a sunset, digging